Zohran Mamdani was elected mayor of New York City after one of the most improbable political rises in modern city history. Now, only months into office, the question is no longer whether he can win attention. It is whether he can turn attention into lasting power. His campaign was built around affordability, public transit, housing, and the idea that city government should feel useful again. But the mayor's agenda has collided with budgets, courts, police politics, international law, and a democratic establishment that did not expect him to become its newest power center. Mamdani is no longer simply a local politician. He is becoming a national symbol. And that makes every decision in City Hall carry consequences far beyond New York. Mamdani's identity is central to the story, but it is not the whole story. Born in Kampala, Uganda, and raised in New York, he entered politics as a democratic socialist focused on the cost of everyday life. His message was simple: rent is too high, transit is too expensive, and working people feel locked out of the city they keep running. That message helped him defeat far more established opponents. It also made him a target. Critics accused him of being too ideological, too inexperienced, or too hostile to business. Supporters saw something different: a politician willing to say plainly what many voters already felt. The divide over Mamdani is not only about his policies. It is about who gets to define New York's future. The first major test came with Mamdani's first city budget. The agreement with the city council reached nearly $126 billion, a figure that shows both the scale of New York government and the limits placed on any mayor. Mamdani entered office promising expanded rental assistance for low-income residents. The final deal diluted that expansion. His original plan to increase the NYPD headcount also changed during negotiations. But the budget included an expansion of public transit discounts, moving him closer to his pledge for fare-free bus service. To supporters, this was progress under pressure. To critics, it was a warning that campaign promises meet a very different world at City Hall. The budget revealed the central challenge: governing requires compromise, even when your brand is built on disruption. Then came the result that changed Mamdani's political position. In New York's congressional primaries, all three candidates he backed won their races. The victories included Brad Lander, who defeated Representative Dan Goldman, and progressive candidates Claire Valdez and Daria-Liza Avila Chevalier. The outcome was more than a set of endorsements paying off. It showed that Mamdani could transfer his coalition to other races. Organizers associated with the Democratic Socialists of America reportedly knocked on more than 700,000 doors. Younger voters turned out. So did voters across racial and ethnic lines. For the Democratic establishment, this was a direct message: Mamdani's movement may not be confined to City Hall. It may be becoming an electoral machine. That success has created a new argument inside the Democratic Party. Moderates warn that Mamdani's politics could alienate business leaders, suburban voters, and parts of the traditional coalition. Progressives answer that the old approach already failed to address rent, food prices, transit costs, and economic insecurity. The disagreement is not theoretical. It is now visible in congressional races, local endorsements, and the language candidates use on the campaign trail. Mamdani argues that Democratic Socialist candidates can win anywhere in the country. His opponents argue that New York is an unusual political environment and should not be treated as a national template. Both sides are watching the same experiment. The difference is what they believe the results will mean. Mamdani's most explosive issue may not involve rent or buses. It involves Benjamin Netanyahu. During his mayoral campaign, Mamdani said he would order the arrest of the Israeli Prime Minister if Netanyahu visited New York. Netanyahu is expected to attend the United Nations General Assembly in September. Mamdani has said he is now in active discussions with the city's law department about whether he has the legal authority to act. The issue places a local mayor inside an international legal and diplomatic storm. It also tests the boundary between political promise and executive power. If Netanyahu arrives, the decision could trigger a confrontation with Israel, Washington, New York's police leadership, and the courts all at once. At the same time, Mamdani is already preparing for the next political cycle. His campaign has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for a 2029 re-election effort, with a significant share coming from outside New York. More importantly, he plans to forego the city's public matching funds program. That decision would give him more room to raise and spend money, but it also removes a system designed to amplify small donations and limit large-scale fundraising. The choice reveals how quickly his political project is evolving. Mamdani entered office as an insurgent challenging the system. He is now building an operation capable of influencing citywide races, congressional contests, and perhaps the national conversation. The outsider is becoming an institution. The final question is whether Mamdani can remain both a movement leader and a conventional mayor. Movements thrive on clarity. City governments operate through negotiation, staffing, contracts, legal limits, and slow implementation. His supporters want visible results on affordability. His critics are waiting for mistakes. National Democrats are studying his victories. Conservatives are preparing to make him a symbol of everything they oppose. And New Yorkers are measuring the only outcome that ultimately matters, whether daily life becomes more manageable. Zohran Mamdani has already changed the conversation about power in New York. The next phase is harder. He must prove that a political revolution can survive contact with the machinery of government.